Hello, welcome back to my channel. So today we're moving on to the 61st villain. She is called Queen Grimhilda, otherwise known as the Evil Queen, and is one of the greatest villains in Disney. So she is the main antagonist of the first full-length animated feature film Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which is based on the 1812 fairy tale Snow White by Brothers Grimm. Her most famous incarnation is in the Disney film, but the origins of the story goes as far back as folklore itself. Being a popular fairy tale, Disney's film has a very tremendous impact on how people see the evil queen as a villain, and introduced in the concept of her magic mirror and her ultimate transformation from a young and beautiful woman to an ugly old hag. So, her history begins in the early years. Grimhilda was a mysterious, cunning, and icily beautiful woman who sold her body and soul to the evil spirits of the Harz Mountains in exchange for the power to work black magic. She used her newfound powers and knowledge of the dark arts to enhance and maintain her beauty, hoping to always be the fairest woman in the land. She became queen by marrying a widowed king who later died, giving her absolute control over the kingdom, which she ruled with an iron fist, becoming feared among her subjects. The many skeletons in her dungeon suggest this. The evil queen also owned a magic mirror, which she can use to communicate with her all-knowing and omnipotent demon Familiar, which took on the appearance of a haunted smoke-like face. She despised her stepdaughter Snow White because of her beauty and forced her to dress in rags while treating her as a servant rather than a daughter. Throughout the story, it was made clear that the evil queen's motive was vanity. She simply could never stand the idea of someone being more beautiful than herself, and was cruel enough to take drastic steps to ensure this could never happen. So, jealous of her stepdaughter Snow White, the queen forces her to work as a servant in the castle, even in rags and wooden shoes. However, Snow White's beauty shines through, causing the queen to worry that Snow White's beauty may one day surpass her own. She has such vanity that she consults her magic mirror every day, ordering the slave within to reveal the name of the fairest in the land. Every day the spirit says that the queen is the fairest and she is content until the mirror informs her that Snow White has finally become the fairest in the land. So, outside as Snow White works, she sings to herself, attracting the attention of the prince, who is passing by, and they are instantly infatuated with each other. The queen watches from her window, unseen by the two lovers, and jealous of Snow White and the prince's affections, closes the curtains furiously, summoning her faithful huntsman to her. The queen orders him to take Snow White far into a secluded area of the forest, where she can pick wild flowers, and kill her. She presents him with a box, in which Snow White's heart must be brought as proof. The huntsman is reluctant to carry out such a deed, but knowing the penalty for failure, takes Snow White deep into the forest, just as he is about to stab the princess. He finds that he cannot bring himself to destroy such innocent beauty, and frantically warning Snow White of the queen's vanity and jealousy, tells her to flee into the forest. He returns to the queen, bringing in the box the heart of a pig to fool her. That night the queen once again consults the slave in the magic mirror, who tells her that Snow White is living in the forest, in the cottage of the 7 dwarfs, and that the huntsman has brought her a pig's heart after she believed that Snow White is dead in the forest. Furious after realizing that she has been tricked, the queen descends a spiral staircase, entering a dark chamber filled with arcane and magical artifacts, as well as her pet raven perched on a skull. She decides to go to the cottage herself, disguising as a peddler, consulting a book of disguises, and searching for a formula to transform her beauty into ugliness. She mixes the required black potion ingredients, though exactly how she prepared most of them into a tangible form for the concoction can be anyone else's guess, such as mummy dust to make her old, the black of night to shroud her clothes, an old hag's cackle to age her voice, a scream of fright to whiten her hair, a blast of wind to fan her hate, and finally a thunderbolt to mix it well. After putting all of the ingredients together, she begins her magic spell as drinks the potion and magically transform herself from a young, very attractive, regularly and unbearable, beautiful, and insanely sexy queen, and hideous old hag, including her hair turning white, her skin and hands becoming wrinkled, her royal attire becoming a peddler's cloak, and her voice is changed as well, as she declares that it is a perfect disguise. She then decides to dispose of Snow White with a poisoned apple which will send its victim into the sleeping death. The witch brews the poison and dips an apple into the brew, turning it black, then upon her orders, a tempting red, giving the poisoned fruit the appearance of an ordinary, otherwise exceptionally appetizing in appearance apple. She consults her... So, she creates the apple and offers it to her raven, but she jokes about that is for Snow White. So she makes her way through the forest and found Snow White in the 7 dwarfs' cottage, offering her the apple. Unbeknownst to Snow White that is the sleeping death, she bites the apple and dies sleeping. And the evil queen cackles as thunder outside shrieks, and now she declares herself the fairest in the land. So that's it. So she is very vain because of Snow White's beauty and her affections to the prince. Infatuation to the... even the prince's affections on Snow White. She decides to kill Snow White herself because she brought her as a servant, and now she wants her dead because how beautiful she was. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be doing the next 60-second villain. So take care. Remember, like, subscribe, and comment below. See you very soon.